This is Susan Wilbanks with blendedinsight.com. I am a holistic and integrative healing arts practitioner, an intuitive, and an energy healer. In this podcast, I share tips, tools, and suggestions that have helped me along my path in hopes of inspiring and helping you along yours. Let's get started with today's podcast topic.
Hello, bright soul. Thank you so much for joining me on another beautiful day here in sunny Colorado. And wherever you're listening, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for all of your donations, your feedback, your kindness. Those of you who have joined our High Vibe Lightworker tribe over on Patreon, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I have something exciting. I have become an affiliate for Pause Breathwork. I have talked to you all about Pause Breathwork before. I know I've mentioned in the comments, if you booked private sessions with me, I've talked to you about it. I've been using Pause Breathwork app specifically for, I guess maybe I know it's over a year, maybe 2 years. And I first discovered Samantha Skelly through a book she wrote on it was called Hungry for Happiness, and it was on Hay House where I discovered her. It was an interview she had done, and I believe she was a Hay House author. And that's how I discovered her journey. She used to have an eating disorder, and she discovered breathwork, and it helped her to move through those emotions. And she became a breathwork facilitator. And so in that audiobook, she had a guided breathwork that I really enjoyed. So I was using that for a long time, and then I discovered her app. They just launched the app on Android. So they have an Android version and a iPhone version. And I had did a discovery call with her, I don't know, months ago. And one of her practitioners had told me about the affiliate program. And so I finally decided to join it. And it doesn't matter to me if you use my affiliate link or not, but it is in my show notes. And so if you're interested in learning about the programs that they have to offer for facilitation, she's got a guided 21-day journey. What I personally use on a day-to-day basis is that app, the Pause Breathwork app, because it's broken into small sections of breathwork, and there's all different patterns. There's 3-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute, and they're all different breathing patterns depending on what your body feels. You can always breathe however you want, but it's what feels good for your body, your level of breath work skill, because it is kind of a skill. You have to ease yourself into different breathing patterns. But the good news about breath work is you can always get off the ride anytime you feel like it. You're in control because you're the one doing the breathing. Then she's got 25-minute versions and 45-minute versions. So you get to choose your journey. And I really like the 3 5-minute ones because if it's in between meetings or I'm just wanting to tap in or go within, I can use those guided breathwork audios to help me go into that space. So again, the link is in the show notes right under my Patreon. I'm just excited to be a part of this program. So I wanted to tell you about that. And then the second thing I wanted to tell you is I tried cryotherapy. Now, how many of you have tried cryotherapy? I know it's been around for a long time, and all of a sudden everybody's into this cold plunging and this cold therapy. And you all know I don't like the cold. I don't want to be cold. I don't want to talk about the cold. I don't want to sit in the cold. I don't want to do anything cold because I'm always cold. My body runs cold. The interesting thing about it, though, is when you look at the research behind the cold plunging, a lot of the benefits I already get through weightlifting, and you can get them through sauna. But most of that research that I have seen is done on men. And mostly it's men that are talking about all of this cold plunging things. And I recently was connecting with someone who's doing like the cold plunging every single day. He's not the only one. My coach does cold plunging, and he was telling me, you should start with a cold shower. I'm running out of a cold shower. I don't want to be in a cold shower. Geez, years ago, before cold plunging was a thing in the hair design world, my hairstylist used to say, well, if you want to seal your cuticles after your shower, just run cold water. No, I'm not running cold water on my hair. I'm not doing that. In fact, I'll just have split ends. That's fine with me. You just cut my hair. I'm good with that. I don't want to do that. So anyway, when my knee was gimping up after I didn't listen to my soul and then it manifested in my body, like I talked about a couple of podcasts ago, I was like, gosh, I don't know. I want to get this tissue healed. I'm being impatient. The reason I talked to you about us being impatient is because notice I said us. I'm in that same boat. I'm like, get on with it. I'm actually doing healing. What in the world? I want to heal this thing. So anyway, I went to cryotherapy, and the place that I went, wait, let me back up. Because someone that I was talking to kept saying, you should just cold plunge. You should just I don't want a cold plunge. I don't want a cold plunge. That sounds miserable. And I have female parts. And so every time I look at the research, it's about men. And I have a hypothesis. Women tend to run colder because our hormones are different. We've got more going on in our body. I could be wrong. And I just don't know very many women that are consistently cold plunging and like, yes, it makes me feel so good, whatever. So I said, you know what? I know what. Maybe I'll try cryotherapy because I've heard that that's, I don't know. It's kind of the same as the cold plunging. But so I went to one where the whole cryotherapy unit was a freezer that you walk in and close the door. So I know they have those cryotherapy units where your head's sticking out the top and people talk to you on the other side. That's not what I did. The place I went to was this freezer thing, and the young men were so sweet because I was so nervous. I'm like, I'm going to vomit. I'm going to vomit. I don't want to do this. I'm like, why do I do these things to myself? I don't want to be cold. And it was on a cold day. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I mean, and my heart rate is speeding up. I'm like, I'm so nervous. Like I'm shaking a little bit. And so they're like, oh yeah, all you have to do is just, put on a bra top, like a sports bra. And I didn't know that I had to like wear shorts. I didn't know. I thought I was going to be in a robe. I had no idea. So they're like, oh yeah, here's some shorts that are too big, but whatever. Put on these shorts and you just wear your bra top. And then we put it looks like oven mitts on my hands. And then I wore my socks and they gave me slippers for my feet. And then they gave me like a beanie hat and this wrap for my face. So it was just like my eyes sticking out. I'm like, well, I mean, really? Are we really doing this? The things we do as humans. Anyway, so then they were like, okay, well, we're going to give you headphones. And you put the headphones on and we'll put whatever you want on. Just listen to some music that'll really hype you up because you're going to be in there for 3 minutes. And I forgot the temperature, negative 175. They're like, for the last 30 seconds, it's going to ramp up and you're going to hear the fans. And so they're like, so if you can't handle it, just push the door open. But we're going to come check on you every minute. We need you to give us a thumbs up. I mean, I don't know how you can do that with the oven mitts on, but I guess do this motion to let them know you're okay. So like, what do you want to listen to? And I'm like, I can't. And they're giving me the drill, and I'm like, I'm nervous. Like, don't worry, it's fine. Everybody gets nervous. They're like, but if you can't catch your breath, then just push the door open. And I thought to myself, I'm a breathwork genius. I can't catch my breath. I do this every day. Anyway, so they're like putting the pressure on me, like, what do you want to listen to? I'm like, I said, put some David Goggins on. So they found David Goggins, like a compilation. I'm like, okay, all right, got it. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm already cold because I'm always cold. And I'm sitting here in a bra top and shorts in this place with these two young men talking to me and trying to hype me up. And I'm like, it's winter. It's still winter. It's freezing out. Anyway, so we get in there and I'm like, okay, this isn't so bad. And I didn't lose my breath. I just focused on my deep breathing, and I have David Goggins in my ear. Stay hard. It really wasn't that bad. But there was like my eyebrows froze over, my eyelashes froze over. There's icicles floating around in there. And yeah, I was like, I had goosebumps, of course, and my skin was really red. I mean, I'm really pale. I self-tan because I am super pale, and I just don't like that. You can't see muscles on pale skin. So I use self-tanner. Anyway, but my skin was so red. I'm like, oh my gosh. So my skin was feeling a little prickly just because, I don't know, it's freezing. And they're coming in every 1 minute, and I'm like, I can do this. And I am watching. They had this meter that goes from green to red to let you know it goes green, orange, and then all the way to the red to let you know how much time you have left. So I'm watching it. I'm like, I'm good, and I just focused on my breathing, and when it was over, it was interesting because I wear gloves to the gym because I don't want calluses. I even wear gloves when I row, whether I'm going to the row house or Orange Theory, because ew, I don't want calluses on my hands. Yuck. I don't want rough hands. So it was interesting because even though I was wearing those mitts, where the calluses want to form, but I don't allow them to because I wear gloves and I slather lotion on those areas, it kind of froze. It felt strange. So I was like, well, that wasn't so bad. It was way worse in my mind. So I get done and they're like, yeah, so you should feel better. And, just if you can come a couple of times a week, it would be helpful. And when I left, I was freezing for 3 hours. After that, I was so cold. I came home and got in front of a space heater. I'm like, okay, well, now I'm just going to lay in the fetal position and in front of my space heater. I can't get warm. I really should have went in the sauna, but I wanted to actually let my body process without shocking it with the heat. In fact, I was going to take a bath later. And I'm like, no, don't take a bath. Just let's deal with this cold, whatever this is supposed to be doing. And they were like, and your knee should feel better because this is like right after the knee thing. And I'm like, it didn't. Actually, it made it feel tighter after it froze. And then, it just, and so I was thinking about it. I'm like, was that really worth it? Is that something I want to commit to? Because then people go, oh, you have all this energy and it makes you feel incredible. And I just get out and I'm like, no, it didn't. No, it didn't. So I know everyone's body is different and everyone's body is processing different things. But I wanted to ask you, have you done cryotherapy? Do you do cold plunges and cold therapy? And is there really research to support that is equally as good for women? And I imagine there's a difference between the immersion of like cold water, getting into a cold water, whatever, bath, tub, whatever people do, and cryotherapy because it's a different type of cold. But can't I just get in the sauna for the same benefits? I mean, it's not easy to be in the sauna either. It gets really, really hot in there. And for me, I meditate, I'll do breath work in there, but I'm still looking like, okay, how much longer I'm ready to get out. Once I'm starting to get really hot, I'm like, oh, I'm ready to get out of here. Right. So anyway, that is a long, long intro about what's going on here. And now I want to move into the topic for today. You're probably like, about time, Susan. Okay, let's talk about the concept of moving from known unhappiness to unknown joy. Dr. Mario Martinez, I don't know why I have a hard time saying his first name, Mario Martinez, with the Mind Body Code. He talks about known misery is more comfortable than unknown joy. Why? Because we are creatures of comfort. We are creatures of routine. And when you are trying to move into something new, the knee jerk is to stay where it's comfortable. Everyone does this. It's a human condition. It's a human behavior. I even notice this when people are trying to move out of toxic relationships. They make a decision. It usually has to be something big. We're like, I'm done. And they break up and then they're sitting there quietly and they're a little bit lonely. And then they go back. Even though it's a toxic relationship and it's not good, the loneliness is a little bit too uncomfortable. They're not used to it. So they revert back to what they know. And in the Mind Body Code, he talks about how when you move to change something, the tribe, the culture that's around you, which is so important. It's so important to surround yourself with people who elevate you and support you and who are of a frequency that you want to embody, because it's difficult to make a change if you've got this crabs in a bucket mentality around you where they're trying to drag you down. But this is in everything. This is in lifestyle, whether you're trying to build a new habit, exercise, take care of your body, meditate, change a job, move, get a new friend group, change a relationship, create a new relationship, get out of a relationship, whatever it is, habits, it's in everything. Is the first thing you've got to do is recognize first that it had a function. So this is how you have to sit with yourself. Okay, this thing had a function. It served a purpose at one time in my life, but it's not serving me now. So it ran its course. It's the whole thing, let go or be dragged. So you were using it at one point. This is even clutter clearing. You might have an item in your house that you're not using anymore. You used it at one time. It served its purpose. And sometimes people get attached to physical objects where they don't want to let things go. It's sitting with that and saying, this isn't serving me anymore. So what am I doing? Or how did it serve me in the past? So it served me then. And how is it serving me now? Or how is it not serving me now? And how can I let this thing go? What is it that I need to let this thing go? And look, sometimes things feel comfortable for you, but it's not good for you. I mean, eating excessive amounts of dense food. It feels comfortable, it's delicious, but it's not good for you. If it's affecting your health, if it's driving up your negative markers on your blood panel, if it's making you feel like poo, if it's making you lethargic, if it's giving you insulin resistance, all the things that can go along with eating too much of something, I'm just using that as an example because it's one that most people can understand, then yeah, it might be comfortable, it might be fun, but it's not good for you. I mean, same can be true for alcohol. Don't get me on the alcohol rant. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but it's something that I'm passionate about because I see how it does not have any good health benefits for anyone. It's not good for anyone. And on every level, it's just not. So it's just a cultural norm that people accept and they repeat the cycle. And I'm just a cycle breaker. So I think outside of the box. So Dr. Mario Martinez calls us going beyond the pale, going beyond the fence, going beyond the tribe, going beyond the culture, doing something different. And sometimes you're that person that makes the change, that domino affects other people to do the same. So it's like you inspire people to make that change around you, but someone has to go first. And I'm not saying that you got to recruit people to be on board with you because people don't like to change. So the likelihood of that happening is slim to none in a lot of cases, especially now with this heavy, dense energy on the planet where people have developed really unhealthy habits, had a really hard time recovering from the shenanigans we just went through over the last couple of years. I see most people really struggling to get back on their feet. I see people struggling to turn a new leaf, get their mojo back. It's been tough. I know it's tough for us too because we're sensitive. And when we say we're sensitive, it doesn't mean that we're weak. It means that we're aware. That's all it means. If I'm sensitive to something, that means I'm aware. I'm conscious of it. When I wasn't sensitive, it's just because I wasn't conscious, because I was numbed out like the rest of the world. And when you're feeding your body junk, drinking, drugging, consuming media and things that are designed to program you to shut your mind off, when you're just being fed information and you don't have a critical thought, you don't turn that off and think for yourself, when you're not reaching for a higher feeling thought, then you're very, very numb. And I'm sure most of us have had periods of our life where we lived that way, but we're not there anymore. And so what I wanted to share with you is I understand that the known is comfortable, but the known may not be for your highest good. And you've got to push yourself to make that leap. This is how you grow. And if it's something that's nagging at you, it's probably your higher self trying to get your attention. And a lot of times things get really bad before we make a move. And we know it's going to continue to get worse. I know in my case, I think I've shared before. So I've moved a lot. I've moved a lot because I was in the military and I've just moved around a ton in my adult life. And so for me, I can make any place my own and I can get settled into any place. I'm used to that. So I will create the space. I'll clean out the space. I'll make it really cozy. I'm doing all my meditation practices and everything in my home. So my home is truly a peaceful haven, and people enjoy visiting my home and being in my space, not because of the surroundings. It's the energy, but most people aren't aware of that. And when I get comfortable and cozy, I don't want to move. And so when it's time for me to move, I have to be pushed to move. And the universe knows this. So it's happened time and time again. And so my soul knows, when I say the universe, our soul, our higher soul, your angels, guides, archangels, is all connected. We're all one. We're just drops in the ocean, all connected to the big ocean. So I can think back when I was in Texas, I was renting this apartment because I didn't know where I wanted to live just yet. So I was trying to figure out what area I wanted to live in permanently. And I was in this apartment, and the apartment was so sweet. I found this cute apartment in this community of older people. It was almost all retired people in this community, which is perfect for me because I want quiet. I want solitude. I want calm. I don't want a chaotic, noisy party type environment. And it was tucked away in this neighborhood, so it was even hard to find. I had this buyer's agent that found it for me. And the front desk people were so sweet. And because it was all grandparents for the most part in that community, they loved my daughter. She was little at the time. They doted on her. They loved her. And the front desk would want to give her Easter baskets and Christmas gifts. And we would go in there and they'd give her cookies. And they had this pool. They had 2 pools. And our apartment backed up to the pool. And so both of the pools, no one was ever in the pools because there's a bunch of old people that lived there and they didn't want to swim. But so for us, it was like, this is heaven. We can go to the pools. We can splash. We can have fun. There's hardly anybody here. And it was just amazing for me. And it was small, but I didn't care because I felt really tucked in and safe. So then there was an apartment above us and they had a leak. And the leak developed mold in my apartment, and the mold went into my daughter's room. Now, I didn't know about black mold I didn't know about any of this at the time, and we're fine. We weren't affected by it. My dad was furious about it. He was absolutely furious. He's like, you need to sue them. I'm like, no, I love these people. I don't want to sue them. Anyway, so when they came to fix the leak, we developed this fruit fly problem because of the moisture, and it was San Antonio, which is already moist. So anyway, we were trying to remedy it, and it just kept getting worse. And it's like, I'm going to have to move. I wouldn't have moved otherwise. And I'm like, I don't want to move. So anyway, so I get forced out to move. Like, I can't live in an apartment that has mold. And if it was in my room, I'd probably put up with it. But it's in my daughter's room. I can't accept that. So I got to move. So I moved to these townhouses on the other side of town, which was in the perfect school district for my daughter. I got forced over there on purpose because it was better all around, loved the area, loved the school, had wonderful neighbors. You know, the kids could play with my daughter. It was all divine timing and all divinely orchestrated. So we get in that townhouse, and I don't want to move. I love it. I want to stay forever. They tried to hike the rent because, again, I'm still trying to figure out where I want to be. And they try to hike the rent, and I actually challenged them, and they made it a reasonable rate. So it was funny because, like, I kind of usurped what the universe is trying to do here in a way. They basically, like, lowered the rent to a reasonable rate for, like, another 6 months. And so I'm like, okay, so I can still stay. Then I started getting scorpions in my daughter's room. If it was in my room, I'm going to put up with it. But not in my daughter's room. That I can't, again, you see how there's these synchronicities that know how to get you, just like with my knee. If you're messing with my ability to be physically active, I'm going to notice something I'm going to notice it anyway, but my body knows, my soul knows how to send messages to me to where I pay attention. So then I'm like, you know what? I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm just going to buy a house. So we bought the house and we ended up moving. And so then I'm in that house and I get a message from Spirit that I'm going to be moving to Colorado. I don't want to move to the cold weather. That's the reason why I lived in Texas, because I don't want to live in the cold weather. I've already lived in cold weather climates before Colorado. I'm not interested. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And why would I do that? I love where I live. There's no reason for me to sell this house. Like, it was a custom build, all the things. Loved it. Loved my neighbors. And then, 6 months later, I met the person that was going to end up, God is the reason I came to Colorado. And that person was just the gateway that God used to get me to Colorado, because there was no other way for us to orchestrate a relationship without one of us moving. He couldn't move. And it just made me laugh when I met him and he was in Colorado, because I had already been told 6 months before I was going to be moving to Colorado. And so then here we go. That's the way God got me to Colorado. But when I got to Colorado, I got hooked in with the pranic healing community. I got hooked up with another breathwork community. My daughter flourished. It was so good for her schooling. It helped her in so many ways. It was all divinely orchestrated. And so God is always using, and if you don't like the word God, insert universe, spirit, creator, whatever works for you. God is always orchestrating your soul, higher self, ways to give you the experiences that will lead you to the soul development and the lessons that you signed up to come here to learn. So it's all perfect. And instead of dragging our feet, which we all do, I'm raising my hand, we all do, it's a lot easier. Okay, let me back up. It's not easy, but it's simple. It's a lot more simple. So I'm not saying it's easy, but it's simple. If we just listen to those nudges and follow the nudges. And it's much better on the other side because there's always a new level. And there's levels of truth. There's always a new level. There's something for you to learn. And the unknown, I understand it's scary because we want to control everything. We want everything to work out. But when you realize you're not really ever in control, but you know who is in control and you trust who is in control, it makes it a lot easier to surrender. Surrender is not giving up. Surrender is trusting that there is a higher force that's leading and guiding you. And so recognize it had a function. Recognize it ran its course. Sit down. How did it serve you then? And how is it not serving you now? What can you do to let it go? Tune into your body, listen to the answers you're getting, and just go for it. Take the first step. Start moving toward it. And when you're feeling uncomfortable, reach for those things that tap you back in to the very source that is leading and guiding you. Breathwork helps with that. And again, been recommending pause breathwork for years, but now I'm an affiliate, so you can use my link or just find what works for you. I just want you to get there because I know it's tough, but we can totally do it. Let's go into a healing. You can uncross your arms and legs, and I will clean away all of the fear energy and help you to hear that next step with this healing. Okay, and so it is. Friends, I appreciate you so much and for accepting me for the flawed human that I am, doing my very best to navigate this dense world as a light worker who came here with very much human ego, still working through it. I'm always a work in progress, and I can be petty. But the thing is, what is your dominant vibration? So I may dip down, I may sit there, but my dominant thought and vibration is to rise above it. I am flawed. That's why it's called a practice, because I'm practicing in every single moment. And I just appreciate you for accepting me for who I am and being a part of this community. I really appreciate you. I really, really do. And I wanted to say, for those of you who are interested in Patreon, you can go over, look around. We're doing healings. We do reflections. I've been doing a monthly meditation and just adding different components than what's here. And it's doing, like, the meditations are a little bit longer, but the healings and the reflections always include a healing. It's something to inspire you, something to get you thinking, but then there's a healing with it, so that it's mixing things up. We did like some mantras for a little bit, like affirmations, to give you something a little bit different and a little bit more personal than what we do here. But you can always check it out in my show notes. And then again, there's the breathwork. The pause breathwork is also in my show notes. And as always, I wish you a beautiful week, and I hope to connect with you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.